the end of April. After the end of April 2023, I have not been able to pay that 20 million cedis. At which point it meant that the entire amount of 90 million cedis became due. And so because of that, the Attorney General made an application asking the court to impose custodial sentence because he had failed to comply with the terms of the agreement. Mr. Essien had tried to convince the court that he could refund the money, but after 4 months of waiting, that has not been able to do, and his lawyers came in today with another explanation that they would be able to pay the money in 6 months, and the court said that that was not acceptable to it, and so he proceeded to reject it and pose the custodial sentence.
Right. We understand the former, he's unhappy with the current development. Did we see him, the mood in which he was in when this judgment was delivered?
In fact, he wore a mask actually today, so it was a bit difficult to see his reaction specifically. But throughout the process, he was very calm, he was seated. You could see him once in a while tap his forehead and hold his head while the decision was being read. In fact, when the sentence was about to be imposed, they actually told him to stand up and listen to the sentence. And afterwards, you could see a few relatives. He was in court with a wife actually, who went closer to him, and immediately some 3 policemen who had been stationed outside the court from all throughout the proceedings came in and whisked him away to prison.
What happens next now? He's going to prison because we know there's been lifelines have been thrown to him. You yourself have made that point quite clearly. There's no chance at all now going forward for him.
I mean, at this point in time, what we'll be trying to understand, and we'll be just interacting with the Attorney General shortly, we'll be trying to understand is whether there's still an option of the state to attempt to get some money from them.
I know you've been providing a bit more of the background, but 90 million, he paid 30. There's been lifelines extended to him. Walk us again through all of the trajectory that we've been through since this trial started in particular.
And so it all started, following the collapse of the bank, when the government did indicate that it was going to carry out prosecutions and its level charges against Mr. Essien. He actually pleaded not guilty. The state called more than 10 witnesses. And in the course of the trial, just when the case was about to come to a conclusion in terms of the court giving the judgment, he now decided to enter into an agreement with the state to refund the 90 million cedis. He said he was going to pay 20 million cedis upfront. The remaining 60 he was going to pay 20 in 3 installments. And he failed and agreed that term. Then he came again to present another agreement that, look, I have some properties I'm selling, and if you allow me to sell them, I can be able to refund the money. But that has also not happened. And so that is how come we are at this point, here at this point in time.
Right then, Joseph, you mentioned that the Attorney General is going to be making some commentaries to you as journalists. Have you seen him in your sides to get some words from him in relation to what is a major development for the state? Hello, Joseph. Yes, you mentioned that the Attorney General was in court. Is he ready now to perhaps speak to the media as to what is a big development in terms of the bank closure that we've seen since 2018 and what is a first conviction?
I mean, we're just concluding with some court process after which we have that interaction. But the indication we have from the officers today says that they are satisfied with this particular decision, but they are not backing now at this point in terms of making sure that the monies that were spent by the state, in fact, the point that the judge made in the judgment that millions of cedis were spent in an attempt to secure the depositors' funds, aside from the fact that there were also many individuals who lost their jobs through this collapse as well.
Right then, Joseph, he's our man in court, been following this story for us. It's a big development in terms of the financial sector cleanup which took place. The government received a lot of flack for it. There's been experts like Joe Jackson underlines who've raised questions as to how years down the line there's been no convictions, assets in relation to these financial sector cleanup or these bank closures have not been realized up to this point, but now we're getting a big one where the founder of defunct Capital Bank, William Ato Essien, is to spend some time in prison for his role in the collapse of Capital Bank. It's a story that we're going to be following up if you stay with us here on TV3, where we bring you a lot more.